Okay, I'm Charlotte. I live in Malaysia, and I got these frequencies in May this year.
What do you call them?
The RTL, Return to Love Frequencies. I got them in May this year, and I heard many stories about it. So what I did is I began to use it immediately. And the first place I used it was on my flight back home. Now, I have no idea whether you have had this experience in the A380, but sometimes the oxygen levels in the A380 is very, very low, and when you land back after your 13-hour flight, sometimes you feel quite sick, and it may take you like 1 week or two to recover because of the low oxygenation levels. So what I did was I held the frequencies in my hand, and the experience when I returned home compared to how when I came to London was so different, because when I arrived in London I actually felt a bit heavy in the head and feel very lethargic, and it took me about maybe a couple of days to get back on my feet. But on my return flight, because I held the frequencies off and on during the flight, I felt energized and ready to go. And I said, hey, this is wonderful stuff, the RTF. And when I returned home, my dad was quite ill. He's 86 years old, and he suffers from heart disease, diabetes, and quite a few conditions. So I said, why not I put the frequencies in his hand? So I put the frequencies in his hand, and I did this for maybe 2 or 3 days, And after the third day, he actually got out from the bed and walked, which he had not been walking for about 3 weeks before that, And he felt, and I could see from his face, from the time I arrived to 3 days later, his face cleared. He looked like he was quite peaceful, and he was quite happy. So that was the second experiment that I did with the RTLs. Then I have been using it quite a lot both for myself as with my friends. So I want to relate to you a few experiences I had. I have this friend of mine who's very, very a bit scattered. She's very active. She'll do this, do that, and she will always be chatting away. And when we have meditation times, it's very hard for her to be around, because she cannot keep quiet and she cannot keep still. So during a time of meditation, what I did was I gave her the RTLs to hold, and I said, and Miss Cindy, I said, Cindy, can you please hold it? And she held the frequencies in her hand during the meditation. And after that, she told me this is the first time in, I think, maybe 15 years that she was able to sit through a whole meditation, and on top of that, get into the spirit of meditation. And she said she saw colors, and she was in a deeply meditative state. And now she keeps on asking me to lend it to her, during times of meditation. And finally, she got herself a set of frequencies. So that was one of the experiences I had. Another one, I want to tell you this, is that I was in Singapore, and we were having a dinner with my sisters, myself, and a couple of friends. And it was in a Chinese restaurant, and this friend of ours who was with us, he was very, very agitated. He was very irritable with the waiters and the waitresses, because when he was giving the orders, they did not understand, because they were not locals. I think they were Burmese, and they didn't understand our language. They couldn't understand all the languages. We used English, we used Chinese, we used Malay, and they didn't understand what we were trying to get across to them. And he was so angry, and he was telling, bring me your boss, I'm a frequent, this thing, here's my club card. And he was very, very, very annoyed, and you could see from his expression, he was frowning and all that, And so we asked him, we said, would you be willing to hold something in your hand? So we handed him the RTLs to hold. So he just held the RTLs in his hand, just a few minutes, and he was still looking at the thing and frowning. And then after a while, his total face changed. And then he sort of calmed down, and then, in a blink of an eye, he began to tell the story of how his brother died, which was many, many years ago. And he told the whole story and how it affected him, because the brother committed suicide, and so he told everything right from A to C on the impact on him, and how he was so angry with his brother for not for doing that thing and in a way supporting his life like for so many years. And we have known this friend for a number of years, and we never knew. But just holding the frequencies, he sort of unburdened his soul, I felt. And then and after he told his story, then he suddenly came to and he looked and says, "Oh, I'm holding this. I think it's time for me to return it." And he returned it to us. But what we observed is that his face cleared, and he wasn't scolding the waiters and waitresses anymore, and he appeared to have released something from himself. And that was another one. And for myself and my family, I've used the frequencies in many different occasions and different times. The most recent of it was my brother was undergoing an operation. It was very sudden. It was a major chest surgery. So we had his photographs out and we put the frequencies on him. And within, he was discharged. It was a major chest surgery, and he was discharged about 5 days after the surgery.
It was heart surgery.
It was coming from the shoulder, but it is in the area of the major organs, the heart, the lungs, and so it was pretty major. And he went back and he has been holding the frequencies every day, and we have also have his photographs on the intentions and the frequencies at home. So much so that after 2 weeks, he went for his dressing, and his GP, his local GP, he was very surprised to see him up and about. He says, "I'm surprised that you're walking." And he's more alert and more. His recovery is very fast. So it really works marvelous. And the final thing that I want to share about the frequencies is how I hold frequencies every day. And 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the night, reversed, and how I feel that I have changed as a person. And one of the things for me was how I managed to reconnect to two different people with whom I had major differences in, and whom I have not been speaking to for a long time, because there was a lot of bad stuff, a lot of disagreements and a lot of misunderstandings, and the way I handled it was not to talk to them for 10-15 years, and recently, I managed to actually get into touch with them, and previously, when I ever think of these friends of mine, I used to get very agitated, very angry, and very upset, about the events that transpired. But this time, when I think about it, it's totally clear. I don't feel anything at all, and I could actually pick up the phone and talk to her, and agree to meet up and catch up, And this is something that, come on, it's 10 years, and now I'm able to do it with no hard feelings and no residual feelings at all. That's the beauty of the return to love. And it's really a marvelous thing that you can have in your house, in your life, and in your hands. And it's my favorite form of a birthday gift, and I actually do a test, to see whether I don't simply give it out, because for me it's very precious and it needs to be used. And like this friend of mine, who bought the frequency after her meditation experience, I gifted her I am this thing, because I thought it would be something that she will love. And she uses it every day, and she was telling me that how her partner is bipolar, and how just by holding the frequencies, the level of medications that he's now taking has been reduced. And I have seen him, she brings him along when she comes to meet me sometimes, and I noticed a difference in him. Like now he's more, in the conversation. Previously, he's there, but he's totally absent in the conversation. But this time, he is participating, and my friend tells me that the level of medication has dropped, and she really swears by that. And now he actually goes to find for the frequency to hold, because previously she used to give it to him, but now he says, "I need to hold the frequency," so she goes and looks for it to hold it. So it's really marvelous.
And the lady who works for you,
yes,
that's a very lovely story.
And the funny story I want to tell about is my helper. She's an Indonesian lady who stays with me, who helps me around our house. And all her life she has worked to send money to her daughter. And the whole purpose for her working is to give the money so that the daughter doesn't have to be like her and can have an education and have a better life. But what happened was the daughter, without discussion with the mother, eloped and went off with the boy, and she was my maid was distraught. Sophia, her name is Sophia. She was distraught. She was so distraught because it is seeing her whole dream disappear. Because that was the purpose of her life, to work very hard to get out of the poverty trap and to be somebody in their community back in Indonesia. And she was so distraught. So the first phase was that she was very distraught. Then afterwards, she was so very, very angry with her daughter. She was very, very angry, and she just said she wanted to take revenge. And then she began to follow me, and she's telling me, she followed me all around, and she says, sister, she calls me sister, give me 1 week leave. I said, for what do you want 1 week leave? Are you going to attend your daughter's wedding? She says, no, I want to go back home and kill my daughter, because for me, she's dead. And now I know what I need to do. I've already planned it. I know who to approach. In Indonesia, it's very easy. Plan is cheap. I'm going to get it done. Give me 1 week's leave. And I said, no, I'm not going to give you leave to do something so drastic as that. So no work was done for this 1-2 weeks. She just walked and followed me. Give me leave, give me leave. I said, why do you want leave? I'm going to kill my daughter. I said, no, you're not getting leave for that. I'd rather you sit down here. You can follow me everywhere, but you're not doing that. And then I was just thinking to myself, hey, I have to do something about her. She was really bad shape. So I give her the frequencies to hold, and she reluctantly held it. And in addition, we gave her the I am frequency to hold. And suddenly, it's like just the next day, 2 days, 3 days, suddenly this thing changed. And I asked her, how are you? Because I can see the difference, because she began to take an interest in work. She says, you know what? All my life I've lived it for others. And I was not important, and today I am living my life for me. And whatever my daughter do, it's her business. Today, she said all her feelings, the revengeful feelings, the anger, the disappointment, the frustration, all just left. And so she's now she's very different person. Now she dresses up very well, and she puts on makeup, and every time the I am frequency is on her. If you don't have it one day, she goes around searching for it to sing. She's a different person now. I think she's living life for herself.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That is so lovely.
Yeah. So those are the
Thank you.